6th, 2024. Yeah, all three commissioners present. And we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a full agenda, so we'll get right into it. We have the minutes from the April 15th meeting. Any changes? I'll move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Payroll from the last period. Any questions or comments there?
No.
I'll move that we approve.
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Let's, before we get into any further business, we do have something a little special here today. So, Brent Wayne Holt been with the county for 10 years. He started with the county, I believe, May 2nd of 2014. Does that sound right?
That's it.
He's been doing a great job for us. I always appreciate working with him. And so, I guess we just want to tell you thank you and give you a little something here. So, Commissioners, want to come up and. Greg, you want to take a photo?
Glad. Cut Brent's head off. Yes, perfect.
Brent, can you give us a speech?
No, I can't. I'll just send it. This way I'll have it. I should yes too.
I think he ought to go before.
Steve, would you like to say anything about Brent?
No,
Anything positive?
it's probably better we don't. Perfect.
Thank you.
No, Brent, we do appreciate it, and thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sergeant. All right.
Thank you.
Last chance to say something nice, Steve. Maybe next week.
Yeah, maybe next week.
All right, gentlemen, let's go ahead and have you come up and do the highway report.
Thank you. Oh, I'm first. Sure.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good morning.
Morning.
White Stallion reclamation update. I met with Michael Costello a couple weeks ago, and we drove the interior of the haul route, also known as County Road 700 East. We had some discussions, including a recommendation to narrow the road. He felt as an economic practice, he wanted to try to thin everything from one side, which, yeah, he's right. It would be cheaper that way. However, most of the property owners along through there, 700 is a section line. If you do that, then after all said and done, most of the road is going to sit either on one property owner or the other, and there could be some conflict. So I just made him aware of that as they were making their decisions on through. It would be better that the road were to be centered on the section line itself. So we're also discussing.
So will he'll have to negotiate with the landowner? Is that what he's going to attempt to do?
Yes, I think there's one or two more that he's working with. He wasn't able to contact them, so I helped him out with phone numbers, and I believe those contacts were made last week. So very soon, he's going to be getting in touch with the landowner, and he wants to do something not so big as we had done before, just the landowners who were personally involved and let them know what the whole plan is. get them to sign off on it. We'll be there obviously as well. And then just listen to the plan and see how it all gets put in place. But I think I know their first priority is to get the high wall corrected there by Portersville West and 750. So,
You don't get any closer to knowing when that work will be.
he said hopefully in 60 days, and I think we heard that in March, but surely, I mean, we're only dealing with a couple landowners. I think the DNR has approved everything that they've wanted to do. He's working with the insurance company right now. We also discussed about getting access to our road bonds for the funding of this thing. I talked with Greg and I gave them Greg's number. So those people can talk about the legalities and how to get access to that. So it's better served that way. So once that all gets straightened out, I'm sure we'll know more at that meeting. But when that meeting does get called, I'll get in touch with all of you.
Don't have any idea when.
Seems like another never-ending thing.
Yeah, I was hoping, doggone it, by this summer, they get in and get started. He did say that from the time they get started to about the time they finish, he thought it might be an 18-month process. So, and he's probably right. I think there's some big hills of topsoil that they were going to try to knock the tops down, kind of flatten the top out a little bit so at least they can get tractors on it and it would be croppable. I think there is some question on some of the piles, whether they're all topsoil or whether there's other material in there that they covered with topsoil. I think there's some question
Who
as
does the
to,
topsoil belong to? Is that another hurdle we're gonna have to go through?
probably so, but I think as far as the money stands, they don't have the money to move it back to where it all came from. There's no way of knowing because it was a big project, so hard telling how much came off of who. So I don't think
That's my question.
yeah, I don't think that's going to be possible. The hills are probably going to stay where they're at, and they're just going to be made to be more productive for the people farming. So
This topsoil is a valuable item.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay.
we also discussed too the cul-de-sac that we talked about placing on County Road 750 West at the far north end of the road before has been abandoned basically due to the mine. Where we initially talked about locating the cul-de-sac, I think it consumes some more croppable ground. So we did look at trying to locate it in another situation fairly close to the end where it takes up less valuable ground and we can get it in. So we're still working on that as well. But we will have a cul-de-sac in there. And once we have that idea, then I'll talk with one of the landowners to let them know what's going on. So
And what road is that?
on 750 West, at the very north end before you get to the pit. I think if you go all the way to where the barricades.
That's the one where we just cut it off and there's a
Yeah.
area.
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
and then what are you thinking about doing?
Just gonna locate the cul-de-sac a little bit farther to the south, where there's an area there where there's kind of unusable property there that we can try to put the cul-de-sac in there rather than the far north end. A lot of that is jackal property, which he crops and he would like to not have it there because he's lost enough already, which I understand what he's saying. So we're gonna try and find a more non-valuable piece of property to locate.
Their property to the west of the road is that what they're trying to maintain more use of that?
Yes.
Because the further you go north, the more it's been damaged or used.
Yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't have any problem with them putting it anywhere on there because it's not hurting. The public doesn't have any reason to go back there.
No.
You just go in if you want to be nosy. I mean, it's good to look at the hole, I guess. That's
Yeah.
the only purpose of that road now.
I think Jackal does get that. There's a field entrance right there.
Right, short of Jackal.
And then short of that, now there's really no reason. I have heard stories where large trucks have gone back there, whether GPS has taken it back there for whatever reason, I don't know. But there were some recommendations for that to be kind of a full-sized cul-de-sac, and I think ours are normally 60 foot in diameter, I believe, something like that. So it would be enough for something big to have to negotiate. We'll have, I mean, we've got road closed signs up there now and a whole lot of things to just deter that from happening, so.
Is that our expense to put that in, or is that project?
The mine is putting the cul-de-sac in.
And what's our policy usually? I know like in the city, if you develop a certain thing, there's certain requirements. Do we have a requirement for cul-de-sacs? If we put straight dead ends?
Yeah, we've got,
We've got requirements for the size of the cul-de-sacs, yes. Yes.
and that would either that or it'd be like a T where, somebody could turn around. I think there's a good place for a cul-de-sac. You just spin around and go. And most dead ends, especially in subdivisions that are being created now, have cul-de-sacs provided where the school bus and all them can turn around, all that at the very end of it, so.
Nothing else for me on that.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Okay. Hydro excavator purchase. Many miles of our roadway now contain fiber optic lines from not just one, but from multiple providers. They also include existing live and abandoned copper lines, cable TV, gas, electric, water, and sewer. I know we've heard all this before, but today I can tell you that all the existing areas where communication lines exist, I can show you a couple places where we actually got into one earlier this week. They drop a line off of the pole and it's just run along the edge of the road, laying in the grass. You can't see it. Our mower gets in there and cuts it up. And this is the type of thing that we're working with, so I mean, we're doing everything that we physically can, but there's so many unknowns and gray areas that it's just, it's concerning to me anyhow. Utility installations aren't the most orderly component, as a lot of times as time passes, a utility line gets put in, and then another one gets put in a place where they can work, then another one gets put in before you know it. Now we've got as many as 5-6 utility lines all located within the same right of way that we're having to work. And, it's a combination of sewer, water, gas, and all that. So my feeling is, in too many cases, we have cut lines where while we're trying to save others, we'll find a line, assuming that this is the correct line, because they don't tell us as we're looking through. We see one orange mark for, say, telephone or what have you. There's been cases where there's been at least 2 abandoned lines there. So we'll find a line. Okay, this is it, guys. Let's go. So we're saving this one, and we start digging. We cut another one. Turns out the one we cut is live. The one we were protecting is dead. So there's no way of knowing.
So do you get a report, or do you just get flags?
We get a report with flags and paint marks.
So the report should, if it's accurate, it would say 2 deadlines from Verizon, 1 for the, or what does the
They
report
don't
say?
go into depth. They say we are an existing facility in that location.
Marks, that's it. They don't say
Locate.
dead ones, whether there's old ones.
But it'll say 5 lines.
No.
Maybe I'm not understanding. What would it say
I've not
exactly?
seen that.
No, the lines just say Verizon is in the area, PSC is in the area, Community Natural Gas is in the area,
And then they flag it.
and then they flag it. And then they don't tell you if there's any dead ones in the area, or there's abandoned ones in the area. They don't say that at all.
They don't say if they have 1 line, fiber line, or if they have 3
Correct.
per company, but they would say the company's in the area.
Correct.
So with all that involved, I mean, we could be saving a line and then before we know it, cutting a fiber that, we thought we had done, so.
Any opportunities for interlocal with Huntingburg?
They've been so busy with theirs, they've actually bought a third.
Right.
And we've used theirs before and we've traded work out. They keep theirs busy.
And has has the highway department here had an opportunity to use one?
Yes.
If you or your staff have had one?
We haven't physically used it. They'll send their guys out and they'll do the work and we'll be there and they'll secure the area and then we'll get started. So
You mean you've hired someone to help use one?
Huntingburg would come out and help us and we would trade work and we would do stuff for them, but getting a hold of them is quite difficult. Like I said, they had 2 of them. They've been really busy with them. They've actually bought a third, and they've got several crews as well. They've got the water department, the street department, and the gas department. They've each got their own because they've got stuff that they're doing every day. It's just hard to find time that would work. We've done that. We've used them probably 3-4 times for sure. So.
Commissioner Hostetter, you got any questions on the hydro excavator purchase?
No questions. I did have a conversation with Steve about it. I think it would be a valuable purchase, and I trust Steve's judgment and these kind of things.
Commissioner Stefano?
I agree. I spoke to Steve about it, brief conversation. I see the value in it, I really do. I mean, I understand about hitting the fiber optic is the one I'm particularly worried about. And that line scares me.
Yeah.
So, I totally agree. I trust your judgment and I understand it.
Thank you.
My understanding is the council has, it would be okay with using the funds that they talked about using with it. So they were waiting for our consent. If we want to give consent, then I think the funds would be made available. Is that the route it looks like we want to go?
Yes.
Okay. I'll move that we allow or support the purchase of the hydro excavator as has been presented to us.
One second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you all. I want to thank the council as well. Clerk, main ditch. This was something over, I guess it was an email or a phone call that you got. I went out there and took pictures of the area and the riprap that's in the swale.
So the first one is the first with the paved.
Right, that there is the Clark paved swale, the paved ditch.
So there's one that was filled in with riprap.
Yes, you can see in the middle. I don't know why, but I guess he's ground up on the outside so he doesn't have to trim around the riprap. But in the middle there is where there's actually water standing.
So that water is just being held there currently.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, well, that riprap is designed to kind of stop erosion, so it's gonna naturally silt in over time. Well, the thickness of that riprap is half the height of that pipe that comes out, so it's plugged, half of the volume is plugged off with the silt and the riprap here
On both ends.
on the discharge side. Yeah, the other end, I said he'll get in, he's got a flat shovel, he'll shovel his paved ditch out when it's dry enough. But, it gets up there and it sits and it doesn't get away. I haven't seen that the result of this has actually caused ponding, which would be a safety concern, but it is a problem with Ivan. It, keeps his yard wet too, and obviously gives him more work as he's trying to keep his place looking nice and shovel the ditch out when it can't drain. So if it be up to me, I would recommend that the riprap would be removed from the drainage area, and this will be met with some resistance.
Would you say to remove 100% of it, or the middle patch
Just
where
the middle
water's
patch where the
standing?
water gets through. Yeah. Just to get the water to flow.
The rule would be, I can't do anything that's gonna hurt somebody else, right? He can put anything he wants in his ditch as long as it doesn't affect anyone else. But at this point, it's slowing the water flow.
Yeah.
I mean, would that be the work that we would do, or would we require the homeowner to do the work?
We would probably do it.
We'd be better off doing it with our forces.
Yeah.
Control.
That whole area is so flat, it just doesn't get away. And then now that he's done this, it just creates that hill for that water to get over.
So we just take a excavator out that has the smallest bucket we have, and we dig a path down the middle of the riprap? Is that what you're thinking?
I would just dig the riprap out, and then he would take his bucket and just, smooth that out so it goes through there.
But again, you'll keep the riprap as much as you can on the banks, just take them out of the middle.
He might lose about 2 or 3 foot in the middle, maybe more. No more than 4 foot.
Do you contact the homeowner before you do this?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm assuming you probably want that riprap to be stacked on his property there,
Mhm.
so he can spread it back out.
So we'll contact him and I'll give him some time. And, he may decide he wants to do something on his own. We'll give him that opportunity if he wishes, but I think in a period of time, he has to have it corrected and or we'll do it, so.
That sounds like a fine path forward to me.
Sounds fair
To
to
make
me.
contact with him if he has a solution. We'd always rather the homeowner make the solution themselves than us do it. If they don't, then we have an obligation to let the water flow.
Mhm.
Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for following up with that.
Okay. Additional appropriation reimbursement, we've received a check from our National Association as a reimbursement for travel expenses for Brent while he was at the NACE conference. And all we're simply doing is asking for that reimbursement to be placed back into our travel expense line.
No, we don't do it anyway. Wherever it came from, it'll go back.
Yes.
Well, I have to do an additional appropriation because it's not an insurance check.
It's not an insurance check.
When you have a vehicle collision
Uh-huh.
and insurance reimburses that, that's an expense that you weren't anticipating. So the travel, we got this check back, so we'll do an additional appropriation and put it back in that line. Council will do that, he's just,
Okay, so is there anything we need to do with this, or just?
can't approve it, and council.
Alright, I'd say that, I'll move that we support the proposed additional appropriation in the amount of $1,045 to go back into the traveling expense highway line item.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carried. Would you like this back, Mr. Burke?
Next item, transfer of appropriations. We've gone through an excessive number of signposts this year and need to make another purchase. I'd like to request a transfer of funds from our geotextile line in the amount of $6,000 to be placed in our sign line item so we can cover that purchase.
I don't mind us moving this, but it seems, am I thinking wrong? But it seems like geotextile, we take money out of that every year and move that around. Are we overfunding the geotextile line and we should put those same funds somewhere else next year?
Depends on the year.
It's exactly right.
Because I'm sitting there thinking, we always take money out of geotextile, so why don't just
So-
fund it differently?
About 5 years ago, we actually had to add money to geotextile, so we had such a bad winter freeze thaw.
Mm-hmm.
This geotextile would lay it down, keep them down. We had to actually add money to it. It's kind of, it's one of those,
Short telling the future.
yes, it's
Yeah.
it's
It's kind of like bituminous.
yeah, you just don't know.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on this? Okay, I'll move that we approve the transfer from geotextile to highway restricted in the amount of $6,000.
And if we're not buying geo, that's a good thing because that means we're spending more money.
Okay, we have a first and second, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Okay, next thing up,
Before we move over there on signs, this is just something I brought up one time before, and I don't know how everybody feels about it, I just want to bring it up, while I was thinking of it. So we have those litter signs all over the county, and I just don't like them, I think that they litter the viewways everywhere, because everyone in the county knows that you can't throw crap out of your window. Littering is a known thing. And I thought we had talked years ago about not replacing them when they went bad, but I don't know if that was ever officially done. On Meridian Road, there's a new one put up, and it's a different format. Would that be our sign that we put up? It's a similar no littering sign, but it looks a little different than the old ones. Would that be something we would have put up, or would that be?
where's that location?
Right in those bottoms, right in the bottoms, I know where you're at.
When you start coming
The
from.
box culvert is we put in, like Cassidy's box culvert. I don't remember Tim putting up a sign there, but I'm saying he didn't.
But anyway, do we want them to keep paying to replace those signs around the county as they do them? It's just everywhere one of our county roads starts, everywhere. I mean, there must be hundreds of those things around.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, when I run sign inventory and we're grading the quality of those signs, I'm not as
It's not as
harsh
important.
on those. Yeah, they're just,
I guess my thing would be when they get damaged, don't replace them. Just
Well, do they,
Let the inventory run out.
Huh?
Let the inventory run out.
right. When they get ugly, when they get beat up, pull them down and don't replace them.
And if we find a need, then we'll redress it.
sure they're not cheap.
I'd rather put up a replace the chevron or a stop sign or speed limit sign. Okay, so I just want to bring that up. The other thing, I wanted to ask you, I know I'm getting out of your agenda here. How do we determine when and where we will do striping? Some roads, that seem busy, don't have striping, and some do, but it's worn. How often do we do that? Or is that part of your inventory every year?
asphalt, yes, asphalt roads, all of them get striped. As far as the center line goes, we do have, like for fog lines, I think we have a highway policy that says if the traffic volumes are like 800 or 900 vehicles per day, then that warrants that road to have the fog lines placed. So I think that's something we did probably 10, 15 years ago.
Made that policy?
Yes, to make that policy and implement that outside the chip and seals. A lot of times they may, bleed into summer, that line doesn't stay there very, very long, if at all.
Does the board find those things important, not as important? To me, I like going on a road. I feel it's safer, especially the older I get, my vision changes. It's important for me to have the fog lines and the center lines. It helps guide my driving, so I don't know.
I don't see anything wrong with how we do it now. Busier roads get it.
And I think we are talking about maybe having our stripes just a little bit wider so they're easier to see. And we don't take up additional material again, but I think that's a safety job that we can do that's well worth the expense.
We do all our striping ourselves unless it's a new road? Do the contractors put it on new roads?
On our asphalt, brand new asphalt roads, no, we still paint those as well.
Okay.
If we build a brand new road from scratch, then yes, the contractor will. So
So, yeah, no, I threw some miscellaneous items in there, but I just something that, since we're supposed to, supposed to give some guidance to the highway department, I just wanted to put forth that that's important. Okay, next up, chip seals.
Okay. Yeah, this year we planned chip seal overlay surface treatments on 14 blacktop roads and patch repair on 113 areas. They've been prepared for surfacing on 61 different road locations countywide. So we've also scheduled new paving of the Holland dumpster site scheduled on Thursday, May 30th. The Hayesville dumpster site on Thursday, June the 6th. And the Pine Ridge dumpster site, which will be done on Thursday, June 27th. All these days, weather permitting, are scheduled during periods when the sites are not open, therefore it won't really be affecting their work schedules. New chip seal projects are scheduled for 2024. They include County Road 500 East, which will be done from one point to the other. That should take place around July 5th through July 12th. And then County Road 425 North, which will take place on Tuesday, July 23rd. Oh, by the way, yeah, I've attached those schedules there. That way, if somebody contacts you, you have an idea, they're asking about a certain road, you can look on there and find it. And you can give them an answer as well. And I'll keep you
That's
updated.
helpful, thank you.
Yeah, I'll keep you updated as we go through the season. If we're running a couple days ahead or a couple days behind, so y'all have an idea. But that just helps you out if the public calls and they want to know when the road's getting done. So, I'd like to include in here, as a reminder to residents in these areas, there are going to be periods when fresh oil, asphalt emulsion will be on some of the roads in preparation of and during all work. Fresh oil signs are placed near all areas where work is being conducted. So please respect the signage in work areas, as you will likely get emulsion on your vehicles. If you don't, your patience is appreciated, and the small inconvenience is a small price to pay as we continue to provide you with better roads. So, a lot of these areas are marked. We'll put emulsion down the day before, especially areas where we have dug out or ripped up the road and put stone and let it settle. In order to pave those, we have to put emulsion down as a primer, which allows the chip seal pavement to stick to the asphalt, or to the stone, I'm sorry. But that primer enables that glue to happen. So I also figured I'll keep this here. The schedule is telling you one thing what roads, but we can keep this here if y'all want a map. That gives you locations where all of these things are. The red areas are the chip seal overlays. Orange are the repairs that we're doing. The yellow is the Rejuve-Tech, that's the surface treatments that we're doing this summer. And then the blue ones are the new areas like the dumpster sites and then those other two roads. So
Thank you.
that's all I've got.
Well, let's hold you off for a second so we can have the Jenny Mize come up about the health contract for inspector and owner occupied rehabilitation.
Good morning, Jenny Mize, City of 15 Regional Planning Commission. Quick update before we get your contract. There is a request for proposals out for the radon inspector. Those are due on Friday, May 17th, and then we will open them at the meeting on the 20th. We have received 76 applications as of Thursday afternoon. The first 40 qualified homeowners have been notified. that pending a home inspection, radon inspection, and an environmental review of their home, that they will be participating in the program. The other sets of folks that are qualified, but are a little further down the list, they've been notified that we've received more funding or more applications than funding available, but if we get to a point that we will review other applications if there's funding available. And those homeowners that did not qualify for various reasons have also been notified of that. Eric Curtis, the inspector, is ready to get moving as soon as he is able. And I have the contract, Mr. Chair has approved it. Mr. Curtis has signed, so we just need your signature.
Okay, let's have it. You don't have any problems with the signing of the contract to get this going?
No question.
I have two.
Looks like it just has one signature. One, either of you like to review it one last time before we?
No.
All right, I'll move that we approve the contract for professional services between the county and Eric Curtis.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
The homeowners that have been notified are excited to get going.
But they are.
This has made this, I know this has been a very long process. So for y'all, because I've kind of come in on this, but they are ecstatic.
Good for them.
So if they, just for the public's notice, the main things that people are needing to have their home repairs are gonna be things like roofs and,
Roof, HVACs, water heaters, ADA accessibility up to the threshold of the home, and electrical upgrades.
so hundreds of $1,000s of repairs that people couldn't afford on their own. These are low, moderate income people usually.
Lots of families that are very excited to be able to have air conditioning now that we are starting to get warm.
Nice.
And this program is still making it, I mean, I get requests at least 3 times a week for a new application. And I have to tell folks that I'm holding off for now because there are no more funds, so. That's the hard part, but there are a lot of people that are gonna be very, very happy with this program. So, thank you all so much, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Yes, I will see you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Good job.
All right, back to, Mr. Woodhull.
Good morning.
Okay, so we've got 3 day projects we're gonna bid at 9 o'clock this morning. I will have those ready to roll. There's a few of them sitting there already. As I had emailed you guys when we talked before, I think Chad got the same email from a resident concerning ADA complaint at the courthouse. So she gave me a phone call saying to a resident how inconvenient it was to close the handicap ramp on the west side of the courthouse. She was parked in the handicap stall on the west side and had to walk around the east side of the courthouse to utilize the ramp. Also that day, there was law enforcement officials parked on or alongside the sidewalk, so she had to walk in the grass to get around them. I explained to her that we do our best to stay ADA compliant with the laws, and she understood that, but it's very inconvenient for her, and that is not right. I did inform her that I will bring it to your attention, so that's what I am doing today. So like I said, I know the courthouse square, the revitalization of the courthouse square, the city did make sure that they were ADA compliant with them. I know that we have handicap parking as well in the back corner, and we do have the ramp on the front. We have the ramp on the west side for security reasons. We closed it. I completely agree, but I did tell her I would bring it before you guys for your attention and conversation.
The only suggestion that I had, I think I brought it up to the auditor, was if we did an addition put on the sign, a little thing underneath, if you have a disability which makes it impossible for you to walk in front of the building, call this number and someone will come out and let you in the basement door. That was the only thing I came to. I'm not sure that's a great idea or not, but we'd have to have somebody that would do it.
Would we have to amend our policy, because right now it says no open the door?
It says we can do it for delivery.
Right.
We
may
could
not
modify it.
But yeah, we can modify it, yeah.
I mean, do people think that's a good idea, or just let people, have them walk around?
I think I'd have them walk around, I would make it, for law enforcement, not park along the sidewalk if that's an issue. I think that's just a simple, just ask not to. And have signage so that they know not to go down the ramp there.
I think we have
There's
signs
a sign
there.
there.
It
Okay,
says entrance on the east side.
She
An
did,
arrow, is it right? Is it
she
an arrow?
did know the sign. She installed the sign. She made that one.
We heard lots of complaints with tax season.
so, well, we have a ramp on this side of the building now, so.
It's the parking and getting to the ramp is the issue.
And she also said, for her, I think she said she had a walker, so she was able to do it, but if it was, she was in a wheelchair, she said she may have gotten stuck in it, or may not have been able to do it. So, I feel what she's saying, she made a point, you try having a disability for a while and see how it works. The thing is, where are we gonna, we can't make more land for parking.
Correct.
There just isn't any.
She mentioned working on the east side, but that would be safety.
We're gonna need a what?
Parking on the east side next to the monument, that would be a huge safety concern, because the monument blocks everybody's view. There's a lot of moving parts going on there. We've already had a resident get hit, before, so crossing at that location, so it's not a good idea.
Do you have any other recommendations?
But land is a huge concern. There's a space to put, you can't, to open the west side, obviously it would be the simplest thing, but for security reasons, that's not a good idea. So it kind of, we are compliant with ADA laws. We are, kind of checked through.
If a person wanted to park on this Jasper side, where is the closest handicap parking?
Right in front of City Hall, yes.
So we're here, so they have to go across, I mean, it's not right
They
in
would
front
come
of us.
down to the annex and cross here.
You could request to City Hall if they want to put more along here, we can. Whether they do or not, that's their business, that's their call.
That would be the only recommendation I would make, is if the city would be willing to put another handicap spot somewhere closer to this crosswalk. But I don't know if it's gonna be that much less walking, or, tripping wheelchair or whatever, to get to where they're going. Relatively flat all the way around the building, maybe inconvenience if it's raining or something, but, that's the inconvenience for everybody, it's raining.
I guess I agree with you, if you park right here and look over, it's 50 yards, if you park in the back, it's 70 yards.
I would be leery to put a phone on the road, because A, if it's not manned, and B, if you get to it.
If you guys are, if you would put it in the auditor's office, I'm not saying we should, but if you would, and they are busy with everybody, because it happens at times, who's gonna go? I'm afraid if you give it somebody's cell phone number, whether it's county owned or not, they're gonna be called at random times at night, because that number's there. It's.
And I think somebody else gave a point too, that if somebody want to be a bad actor, they could call that number and be let in the basement.
In the way you're in, yep.
All right, well, I don't know that there's a good solution. So
Would you want me to email, I can email the Chatham city engineer and talk to him?
they're aware of it. I've been in contact with them, and this person contacted them too, but yes, you're welcome to.
I don't care, I was just asking if you want me
Might
to.
as well, I mean, just
That doesn't hurt.
I'll send them an email, just requesting, saying if they can do it, and we'll leave it from there.
okay.
Professional service agreement for, our current bridge inspection consultant. I reached out to them after, road school to see if they would be willing to perform an in-depth bridge, deck inspection for about 15 of our bridges on more of our highly traveled roads on bridge decks that are L8 on. Delamination is kind of a concern. We get delamination, if you don't catch it right away, it can cost you a lot of money in the future. So if we can catch it early, they have the ability, we can save a lot of money, but we have to spend this money up front. They'll come in with some chains, some sonar, and check and see how bad our bridge decks are. So that is what's going on there. I sent you guys the contract is not complete, there were a couple markups that Greg had found. I sent it to them on Friday, they still haven't repaired and replaced them, so I'm just getting your guys' consensus. You guys can approve it, barring the contracts approval, I can get you guys' signatures and move forward.
I discussed it with Brent, so I don't have any questions for him. Does the rest of the board feel this is a good expense, not a good expense?
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
You don't have any idea how much, do you?
$15,000.
15?
For 15 bridges, $1,000 a bridge roughly. It's a not to exceed number, so it could be under, not that.
Okay.
But it's a not to exceed number, so they're gonna pay, we're an hourly wage. Not to exceed, and they are gonna do 15 bridges.
Okay.
Is this something that would be done every 10 years or once?
I wanna see what comes out of it. I wanna see how this works. Ideally, probably every 5 years to kind of go through, find 5 more or 15 more and keep working our way through, but I wanna see how this turns out.
You're the engineer in charge of the bridges. I'll support moving forward with it if the rest of the board is okay with it.
Sure.
I agree.
Okay, so let's just say that I'll move that we approve the professional service agreement for bridge deck inspection not to exceed the amount of $15,000 for 15 bridges.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
I get that contract, I'll make sure he's good with it, and then I'll bring it out, I'll find you guys the signatures.
On the Kellerville Kathy Lane Bridge, that small one there, I noticed during recent heavy rains, like water is pooling there. I didn't know if it's pooling right over where there's a grate for it to go down. Is that something that I saw recently? There's paint around it. Are we doing some work there?
We are
That's
not.
been spray painted.
That would be the city there. That little bitty guy, we kind of maintain, but no one plans on doing that one. I'll look at it, see, and talk to the city.
When you go through it, kind of hydroplane to one side of your vehicle.
There might be a clog drain there. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was odd that it's pooling there because it's on basically on top of a drain, so maybe it is covered up with leaves and water. But it didn't look like it was drain covered last time I was there. So I didn't know if we were cutting into that, doing anything.
That's not us. I would say it's a city, but it's just a drain.
It's our bridge, but their bridge.
It's-
Okay.
Aluminum box culvert quotes. So County Road 1025 South, just off of Holland Road East, there's a mud road that takes off, and it's currently a drive-through crossing. There are 2 12-inch pipes underneath it to kind of handle the everyday flow, and then when it gets so high, it runs over the top. Well, those culverts there are constantly getting clogged. On the downstream side, when they get clogged and the water runs over top, swirls, and it's eating out on the downstream side. I was going to put a small bridge in for using used beams that we found, that we took off a bridge last year. By doing that bridge, I found out there's a gas line, a 6-inch high pressure gas line running right where my footer would be. We obviously could make the gas company move that line because they're in our right of way. They could get it out of the way. That's going to delay it. It's a huge expense to them. I'm going to be out money anyways. So I decided to put an aluminum box culvert in that place. We'll be out about the same amount of cost. The gas company doesn't have to move their line. It's kind of a good working relationship and stuff. So I went and got quotes. As you can see below, Metal Culverts gave us a quote of $75,127.50. E3 Bridge gave us a quote of $71,820. Civil Supply gave us a quote of $91,921.65, and Civicon gave us a quote of $98,476.10. Now, with the loadings that I have on there, that's the reason the prices go up. There's a lot more aluminum with the bracing that go into the HL93 loadings rather than the HS20. The HS20 is substantial for what we need. I've informed those other 2 suppliers. They decided they still want to stay with the HL93 instead of the HS20. So I do feel comfortable turning with E3 Bridge on this at the $71,820. But that is the reason for the discrepancy in price.
Where is this located?
So
161, if you're going south, is it to the east, west?
161, if you go east on Holland Road East, And then there is, you go past 600, then you go through a set of S turns. On that second S turn, there's a road that takes off to the south.
Can you show me on this map? I'm not sure where you're at. This is 1025.
This is, I'm gonna go zoom out, you're gonna go against. There's a motor that takes off here, it's not on our map, it is our road. It takes off and then it runs next to this one. That's that culvert right there, or the drive through right there.
So this is a mud road here.
It takes off, yes,
So where are you wanting to put it here?
yes.
Why is there a need for that now?
It's constantly washing out and it's pushing into this ditch big time. So, anybody with farm equipment have a hard time getting through there.
Farm equipment's the only thing that really travels that road?
That's the road. No, that's a ditch. So off of this curve, where does the road enter? Is it probably right here? Does it come in right here?
Yep.
So there's a dirt road, he's saying, that comes through here, goes across this and goes down this line,
Yeah, and it's
and then
coming,
it goes this way?
yes, correct. Follows that section.
It connects into 600 West.
Currently,
Can we just abandon the road? Is that an option? I mean, what purpose, what,
there's different property owners here,
Yeah.
here, and here. It serves these different property owners.
the project?
It's just 70 grand for dirt roads, seems like a lot.
It is, but
It's gonna benefit two people.
that ditch is a concern right here. This ditch is constantly washing out right here, shoving into that bank. Because it topples over that drive-through and it sits there and swirls. So, you know, damn project, but there's farm equipment running through there, through that bottom like that.
So if we were to abandon it, would it be like the city does when they abandon an alley? This guy gets half, that guy gets
Yeah,
half?
I don't think we should abandon the road, but we can abandon the project, is what I'm saying.
Okay. You think there's a county benefit to having that road inventory?
Yeah, yes, because we have to, there's different farmer, or owners here that we have to, make sure they have access.
I'll have to learn a little more about that one.
Not access any other way for the farmers?
They have to go through a ditch crossing over here or over here, and there's either one.
What do we got cooking down here on the bridge?
There's a bridge here, that's a bridge, that is a crossing as well, that's a drive-through crossing there as well.
Okay, so if, you think if we looked at it, we drove out there and looked at it, we probably have a better idea of what you're talking about?
You could, yeah. I don't care, I'll sit on it, I don't mind.
Yeah,
It's
let's sit
fine.
on it. I'd like to go out and see it.
I want to see it too.
We'll table that until next week.
Is that your last item?
That is my last item.
All right, so the community crossings, call for projects, is that again, so do we have,
Attorneys.
so we have $1.5 million that we can go for, how much have we gone for so far?
$1 million.
We
We've got
$1 million,
$500,000.
And you're putting in the 500 for 6 months?
Well, it's roughly $660,000 worth of work. The council is going to fund it through lit, and then we've got the rest of the batch for 13 houses.
Okay. One other question, so I don't know if it's you or Steve, but there's sidewalks in DuBois?
Yep.
Or do we, I know we're not usually in the sidewalk business, were those our sidewalks, or how were those put in, I don't know, how long,
Those are
15 years
in the
ago?
right of way. I think there were private donors that built the one by the school that goes from the corner
Mhm.
running north. I haven't done privately as far as the other ones. They've been there a long time. I couldn't tell you, but I don't doubt that they were privately done too.
So DuBois County Highway Department hasn't had anything to do with them?
No, we have not. Now, if we take town of DuBois with ADA laws now, that we'll have to go through and make sure they're ADA compliant.
All right, I think that's it for me. Anything else from the board? All right, thank you. Tammy, Comfort, if you want to talk about your mitigation plan, please?
Thank you, ma'am.
While we're waiting for her to come up, we have the claims against the county from the last period. I'll move that we approve those as presented. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Today, I'm here with Nathan Hill, and we are here to present a resolution for you to adopt the 2024 DuBois County Mitigation Plan. And this plan, we've been working, multi-mitigation plan. We've been working on this since the first part of the year with meetings. And this plan is extremely important, and I'll kind of let Nathan, you want to tell the importance of the plan and why it is so important that we get this adopted?
So it really comes down to preparing for a disaster and kind of helping to mitigate anything that might happen through that. One of the biggest things is on the funding side. Through the process, there are a lot of projects identified, and most funding programs will ask for any previous studies that you've done or previous planning, but particularly if you're applying for funds to FEMA to carry out any of these projects, it has to be listed in this plan, it has to be adopted by the body and approved by FEMA. So that's one of the most important things.
Right, so like, we have these meetings, and they're not only just for our cities and towns and county employees, but they are public meetings as well, so that the public is invited to come in and give us any ideas they may have to implement into the plan as well. So, an example would be weather signs. That's a good mitigation idea, or new water lines. There's just a lot of different types of things that can come into it. And schools are involved, dam owners. We've got a couple personal properties that are dam owners, so they are invited to attend these meetings, just all of that. And Chad and Sandy both attended the meetings that we held. County Highway, just everybody was invited throughout the county. So county's starting off with the resolution, and then we will be attending all the cities and town council meetings, because each entity has to have their own resolution, and then that is sent to the state, and the state forwards it to the federal government for approval. So we're trying to move as quickly as we can so we can get everything finalized before the end of this year from the federal government. And, that's a slow process. So,
You have a copy of it?
I have the resolution here. I have two copies, one for you guys to keep, and then I would like to have one that I can submit to the state. So that's what that is. And I did work with Greg on the resolution, and he looked it over. Also, Marissa just arrived with a sign-in sheet. We do get credit for all the time that we put in this. So if everybody could sign this up here, that would be good. That would help add to our hours. We have a match with this grant. The mitigation plan, I believe, the match was $6,700, correct, Marissa? And that is based off of hours put into this. So like our time that we've spent at the meetings, and then any of the meetings that are coming in the future will add to those hours. So we're really close to getting the full match, and won't have to use any additional dollars.
Okay, thanks. They're all in one. We don't keep them.
All right, so we have resolution number 2024-7, a resolution of the DuBois County Board of Commissioners adopting the county's multi-hazard mitigation plan. I'll move that we approve signing the resolution.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And then you can keep that copy.
There's 7 on
Thank you very much.
All right, it being 9 o'clock, we now need to do our bid opening for our paving project.
3 paving projects. Received 4 bids on each project. First bid we're opening is for project 2402, County Road 700 North, County Road 200 West, Boone Township. First bid I'm opening is from Calcar Paving. Their bid is in the amount of $299,280.60, 299,280. Second bid I'm opening is from CNR Construction. Their bid is in the amount of $337,514.40. 7514.40. Next bid is from E&D Paving. Their bid is in the amount of $340,635. $340,635. Final bid for this project from J.H. Rudolph. Their bid is in the amount of $351,886.70, 351,886.70. Second project we're bidding this morning is project 24-03, County Road 600 West in Madison Township. First bid being opened is from Calcar Paving. The bid is in the amount of $306,183.70, 306,183.70. Second bid is from CNR Construction. Their bid is in the amount of $293,336.70, 293,336.70. Third bid is from E&D Paving. Their bid is in the amount of $297,720, 297,720.00. Fourth bid on the project, J.H. Rudolph.
Their bid is in the amount of $307,673.90. 307,673.90. Third project we're bidding this morning is project 24-04 Meridian Road and 15th Street, Bainbridge Township. First bid is from Calcar Paving. Bid is in the amount of $2,082.30, 142082.30. Second bid is from CNR Construction. Their bid is in the amount of $169,465.40, 169,465.40. Third bid on the project is E&B Paving. Their bid is in the amount of $152,270, 152,270.00. Final bid on that project is from J.H. Rudolph. Their bid is in the amount of $166,000, 455.70. Sorry, 166,455.70. Oh, I struggle with these numbers, but that is all of the bids for all three projects.
Brent will take them under advisement. They'll be available downstairs. No, it won't be available downstairs. The room's full.
Yeah, we want.
So Brent will be out in the hall somewhere for anybody that wants to see him.
You're gonna send it out.
That's fine.
Okay, that's right.
Is everybody happy with that? Okay. Okay, we'll make a determination at a later time.
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Mr. Hope? Annex tower removal? Thanks, sir.
You laid one here and I got
You open it? I'm just here for support.
I am here to request the tower up on the roof to be taken down when Tammy's out of here.
Out of here.
You could said it a little nicer.
We won't need any more. I think it's just liability. Just get it down. It's a pretty big tower up there.
Yep, Scott and I went up on the roof and looked at it. It looks, as I've said before, it looked like it was gonna, on paper, I thought, wow, it seemed pretty expensive. Then when I got up there, it looks like it's a substantial job.
Yeah.
It's probably good to have somebody that knows what they're doing, take it down for them, for safety, and
Yeah.
if we don't need any more things on the roof that we don't need. There are a couple things that may still be needed, that will be relocated.
For sure, we have an antenna that we're gonna utilize from here. But other than
There's a
that, and then
booster.
the cell phone booster will stay as well. So those are the only two items that I'm aware of that need to, they're still, the cell phone booster will be up on the roof yet. The HF antenna will be taking with us to our new location.
Has anybody said they need a have a reason for keeping it in one piece, the county remain owning that property, the tower, for any,
No,
nobody can reach out to them.
no,
I didn't think of any reason we'd want to keep it, but
no. I think that with the new location, our setup is fantastic and there's nothing here that we're gonna utilize other than that one HF antenna, so. Everything else has been here for 30 years and it's got a lot of wear and tear on it. For being up on the roof, we've had to adjust a few things up there and I just feel like, I mean, all of it really is out of date.
and I think what they'll do is they're gonna cut it off at the ankles.
You're not gonna ruin the roof.
And then whenever in the future, when the roof needs replaced, then unneeded things can be removed at that point. Anybody have any problem with going forward with this or have any questions?
Nope, let's get it done.
I'll move that we approve accepting the quote for tower removal from the annex roof.
Quick question, are we keeping the tower? I don't know if I cut it right.
I don't see any reason to keep the tower. If you do, then that adds another 1,200 to your quote, so. I really see no reason to keep that tower. I have a tower out there that, I think we're good with that. I would see no reason to keep it.
Okay, I will second your motion.
Okay, just for further discussion, the council, I believe, would be okay with using soft costs from our CNR money to make this happen. So I think there's a method to pay for it as well. So any other discussion?
Nope.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. And so just for clarification too, we are approving just the 4250 for the removal
Yes.
altogether.
Yes.
And you want to sign a copy or just give it to the
Yeah,
office?
if you wanna sign, then I'll send
Scott's in
that.
charge.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Warner, you're up next.
Morning.
Good morning.
A couple things today versus the annual report for 2023. This is the exact same format as last year, so familiar reading for you. And we're gonna have one from last meeting. If you have it. Okay. Do you want me to take time to go through it like page by page, or do you just want to kind of review it and call me if you have any questions, or?
I'll give it, just for public knowledge, because for some people that watch in the media.
Okay.
If there's any highlights you want to go over, that would probably be appreciated.
First two pages basically are just our organizational chart, who reports to who, staffing positions in our board. There's at the top, the third page. Next page is the financial report. I'm not going to go through all the numbers, but as far as what we're looking right now, health department's in pretty good standing as far as money in the bank and carrying that balance. Next is just another breakdown of the financial report, kind of all the grants that we are maintaining, the cash balance and the disbursements per year. Then you get into the environmental report, tells how many septic permits, food inspections, complaints, all those that we receive. Next gets into vital records, what we take in for birth certificates, death certificates. And there at the bottom, it shows the number of births. So we had 783 births and 538 deaths in the county last year. Then it gets into
And
immunizations.
those would include hospital births, home births.
There was no home birth. It sits there at the top 0.
I didn't see that.
Not a problem. So the next page is immunization. So the top section there is self-pay. So if you don't have insurance or you need to just self-pay a vaccine, those are those numbers. And then the second table underneath that is the other breakdowns of what we do in that department. And at the bottom gives our PHN visits and some more breakdown of immunizations. Then the second page after that.
And you quantified, you for the public, you gave right under 18,000 vaccinations last year, so that's a pretty significant number.
Just shy of 18,000, so doing pretty good on that. And then the last page is just preparedness report, and then other incomes we received from our money market, their deposits for interest. That's a real quick
So
rundown.
with the environmental page, so it looks like there was just about 600 food establishment inspections and about 70 for tattoo and body piercing.
Mhm.
So what do you do when you go to like a tattoo and body piercing? You go in and make sure that they're clean, that they're.
So we check sanitation, safety equipment, make sure they're sterile, using sterile technique, or they use disposable. There's different requirements on hand washing and lighting. There's a lot of different things within the rule we have to check.
Okay.
And that also includes now permanent makeup and eyelash extensions too. We have to check.
Okay, just trying to keep those kind of things that could be a health risk.
Yeah, because whenever you're puncturing the skin, there's always risk for infection or transmission of diseases. So checking the safety.
Anyone on the board have any questions for Ms. Warner?
No.
No.
So I guess we can review it. If we have any questions further, we can get with you. I believe you have a second issue.
Two more. So the second one is we've had a request to do an Eagle Scout project at the Du Bois County Health Department. I sent the proposal to everybody. So is there any questions on that, or you can me explain a little bit about what it's going to be and the purpose of it?
Give a, just for the public record, give a 30-second on what the project is.
So the project is going to be creating an activity learning center in the immunizations department. So whenever children come to get vaccinations, there's more activities for them to do, keep their mind off getting the vaccination. Hopefully will stay calmer and give us less resistance for the actual time to get the shots, because you can keep the kids' mind occupied rather than sitting there dwelling on it. It's going to help alleviate some of that anxiety. So.
And it's also a waiting area when mom's doing something or dad's doing something in the other space. When I was out there last time, there was a kid, there's like one little play area, the kid was laying on it, rolling in the thing. Anything we can do probably to keep children occupied when they're out there, I thought was a good idea. And the spacing that he showed me of where it would be doesn't look like it would be anything but positive. Anybody have any questions for him on the Eagle project?
I thought it looked like a good project.
Hopefully get it done in the next month. I think the conference with Eagle Scout is tomorrow night. So after that, we'll start working on it.
Okay.
And just to clarify that most of the materials we're going to pay for out of grant, and then all of the construction, building materials is going to be donated by the family.
Okay, anybody, anything else? I'll move that we approve the Eagle Scout project to be completed in the Du Bois County Health Department.
Sounds like
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And then the last one was the metal shelving that I sent out. You said you want me to declare that surplus today and then
Yes.
move it. That's not actually on our inventory, but if you want to declare it surplus, I have like 4 individuals in line waiting for it, no offices wanted.
Joe, do you have any use for it? Do you want to keep that? No. So, I'm happy to declare it surplus. Does anybody have any problem with that?
we don't need to get rid of it.
I'll move that we declare the shelving unit, metal shelving unit as a surplus item to be disposed of by Mr. Warner.
Sounds like
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
That's all I got for today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You wanna add 4 chairs or something?
Okay, yes, we do have 4 chairs that we're using in the small claims department. That, Mr. Oak, do you think that they have any value? I think that you moved them, didn't you?
People took it. I don't know where they're at.
We took them before we declared them?
Other departments in town. I brought them in and set them downstairs, and they all,
So they're not surplus then?
where they're at.
So someone should be putting them on their inventory. Small claims will take it off of their inventory.
I think Amy took one. I don't know.
Would you send an email to those folks to let them know that
Treasurer's office might have one or two.
you have a couple people from law enforcement, are we missing chairs? We may need a report.
I brought them over and they were gone within 10 minutes.
Okay.
Who took them?
Seriously, that, we're going that quick, huh?
Chairs.
They didn't take them home, they're in the hall.
Right. Okay,
So they're not surplus then?
all right, we're gonna move on past that
What's
one.
the-
Perfect. The problem solves itself, I guess.
I don't know if they're replacing
That's why you
them,
can't
if they're
find
gonna keep them and give you a bad one in place of it, I don't know what their plan is.
Got it. I guess we have a request that came in late from members of the airport board and Travis. Do we want to fit them in? 9:30 is our next scheduled, item. Give them between now and 9:30, 9 or 10 minutes. Yeah, come on up. Thank you.
Come on up. Thanks for putting us on the agenda. Come on up, Jim. So Travis from Queen Huntingburg Airport. I'm here with Jim Hunsinger and Becky Beckman. They are two of our airport board members.
We're familiar with those folks.
Yeah. So, as you know, we have secured the funding for the Frosty Jones Terminal building. As of about 2 months ago, the Federal Aviation Administration announced that we're going to receive $3.3 million for that future project at the airport. It's going to be a wonderful thing for the airport. The 2022 engineer estimates for the project, however, was $6.5 million. So we have to raise about $3.2 million. So we're here to ask for and request your support as we approach the Du Bois County Council for that project and to help us secure the funding for that project. Why do we want to move this project forward? And please jump in, Becky, Jim, any time here. It's about the support. It's about economic development. It's about keeping the jobs right here in Du Bois County. We have the big five out at the airport. I think you all know the companies. It's Kimball International, Best Home Furnishings, OFS Brands, Jasper Engines, Transmissions, and Master Brand. They all have infrastructure, hangars, aircraft, pilots, mechanics at the airport. We want to keep them happy when we get those jobs right here in the county. It's agricultural impact. I think that we all are familiar with the processing that goes on during the season. Education. We have a wonderful partnership with changing the lives of individual students that come through the program with Paducah Valley, which impacts not just Du Bois County, but Spencer County, Perry County. We have tourism impacts. That's folks flying through the airport. I just had a person come in the day before yesterday to eat at the Schnitt's Farm. Literally flies in to eat at the Schnitt. Holiday World, of course, is a big economic impact. Healthcare. Healthcare is a large component for us. We see the organ donation network fly through the airport, meeting the folks at Memorial Hospital to support the donation of various organs and things like that. Leadership, Civil Air Patrol. Everybody knows the Auxiliary United States Air Force. Civil Air Patrol, we have over 17, 18 students in that program now. It continues to grow. That's a wonderful thing for these young students, 12 to 18 years old, that get introduced to aviation. And just at the end of the day, it's upward prosperity. It's opportunities for some of the students in the past that some of you have heard about. Allison Hoffman, Ferdinand High School 2008 class. She's now a captain at United Airlines, making 6+ digits a year. Will Sternberg, Jasper High School grad, 2019. He's now flying for Frontier Airlines. Wonderful, again, a story and a case in point of why this is a wonderful program at the airport. It all comes back to the terminal building. This is where it all happens. In the terminal building, it's the classroom. It's where folks come in off of their aircraft. It's the front door. It's the first impression that VIPs, that coaches from Notre Dame, Purdue, all have flown through just in the last 2 weeks to visit the Spencer County's kid, Sisley, basketball player. It's really an important asset to the community and infrastructure to the community. In front of you, what you see is a variety of different pieces of information. Of course, there's a little bit of a story there talking about the terminal building. There's the aeronautical functions that the terminal building brings to the community. And then there's some students there identified. I'll be quiet for a second. I'd like to take your questions. We got about 4 minutes and see if there's anything we can answer for you in support of this project and funding this project specifically.
Well, I've met with you, we've talked a little bit about the project. So I guess my stance is that I, of course, support what you're doing over there. I like what you're doing. I guess when I'm not on the county council, so I don't know if it wouldn't be up to me necessarily what amount of money or any we would give to you. So I guess I'm on two sides of it. On one side, do I support the project? Sure, it's great. I like it. It's a nice design and I think it's going to meet our needs now and in the future. So it's easy to say, yes, I support it. In a general context, would I support using X amount in county dollars? I guess I haven't considered that or what that number would be or to what level. So I guess that's my initial thought. Commissioner Hofstadter?
I agree. I don't know what level I would support, but I definitely support it. Just took a new job in the last couple of years and have flown into some other smaller airports. And it amazes me how nice of terminals they have compared to ours. And we have so much more going on at our airport. So I definitely see a need for it as well. So yes, I support it.
I support it. I definitely see the need. I've toured your facility. I've been to small airports just like Nick. I see the need, but it comes down to how much.
Sure, absolutely.
And I think my advice to them was, well, you're going to probably have to convince people in the county that this is a better use of our money than something else.
Right.
And that's going to be, that's always the hard part when you talk about a dollar. $1 can only go one place. And why is this better than a road or name anything else?
Right.
So yes, I think it's important that we look this over and we support it. I just don't know how. I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
So I mean, are you asking the county for $3 million? You're asking the
No,
county for $50,000?
that's a very fair question. I think 2 years ago thereabouts we came to the county and there was a set aside of about $1.5 million for the airport. At that time we were kind of struggling through some cash flow issues, dealt with some overruns on some costs, which has all been paid back. The feds did finally reimburse us 4 years after the fact for that project. So the 1.5 million that was set aside is kind of the number that we were thinking about, because then we still have to raise another 1.7 based on the 22 budget dollars that we have to come up with. And just so you do know, to the point about the dollars and cents, we are applying to Ready 2.0, which is state dollars basically through the IEDC. And then also we're applying to Radius Indiana through the RIF. I don't remember what it stands for off the top of my head quickly, but we're applying for there for dollars. Any opportunities that are out there, at the local level, at the state level, we're applying or at least having conversations with that to start that process to apply for the dollars.
Yeah.
So it was a good question.
So again, if I was on the county council, these are always hard decisions.
Sure.
And I think, is the money better spent on an infrastructure project, on a county department, on the health department, or the sheriff's department, or is this the best use of the money, or do we have the money to do all of those things? So it's tough. I don't know how that'll shake out.
Right.
But I mean, I don't think anybody would say this isn't needed. I've been at your meetings multiple times, and it's not a modern facility for modern business.
That's right. And the other thing to consider, as this decision's being processed is that, we have the dollars in hand. This is not a speculative, we're trying to, we have over 50% of the project for the dollars in hand for the project.
we don't want to risk, losing those dollars. I think that'd be a tragedy for the county as a whole too. So, we want to see this project continue to move forward, but yeah, you're right, it's prioritization. And we certainly believe that we hit on all the important elements of the edit or lit funding for the project to continue to move forward. Happy to answer any questions you guys might have at any time. And we all appreciate your time today.
Appreciate your time. Short notice.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything else from?
Letter of support. We may be requesting that from you for some of our different funding avenues.
That's great, yeah. So the more support that when we go to apply for dollars and grants, the better off that we are in a position to secure that, so, yeah.
I don't think y'all have a problem with us doing that.
Yeah.
Well, I just think it's, like we always talk, it's a front door, because we had the coach for Iowa come in last October. In a board meeting, he walked in and said, where's the restroom? Well, your board meeting is there, and your restroom's right beside it. It's just it's your front door into the county for a lot of things. Because one of the coaches, one of the people that flew him in, he came and ate lunch, ate supper at the Snitz, spent some time in DuBois County visiting while the coach was in Spencer County, spending time with the person trying to recruit. So, we got a person came in, big businessman, he just sold a business, I think $100 million business. He flew in, was spending time here looking at it. So it's that presentation when you come into the county that I think is good for us, especially on the people who come and go.
Thank you for bringing us in, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm off camera, I can start eating.
Really?
Do whether if you want to talk about that, ask any further, or we go to where we are?
I know the council, as far as where the money comes from,
we all supported it.
I feel like it's one of those things, if we had all kinds of cash and we could support the whole thing, do it, but we don't, so, they're gonna have to figure out that stuff. And hopefully they can.
And my thing is, I think a school corporation, if they're their own taxing unit, they have their own income. If another taxing unit came in, such as a school corporation or a township or, anything, they'd have probably a good ask as well. Additional funds. Cities and towns, we've given some money to other things, so. It would just be tough, I'm looking at it, I'm saying, health department, multiple departments here, the sheriff's department. It would be tough if the health department, the sheriff's department, or, maintenance or HR, if any of them came to us and said, you know what, we'd really like to do this certain thing. It's hard for me to say, we've given $1.5 million to that, but we can't help you with your thing. So that's always tough. So that'd be the last thing I have to say about it, I think. So good, moving on. Okay, so 9:30, we have down that we were gonna talk about accrued sick time and PTO time. Commissioner Stephenson, do you wanna start that off?
No, I'm gonna let Marky talk.
Oh, thank you.
No, so, this has been going on for, I'd say, 2 or 3 months, we've been working on this back and forth, so kind of a little backstory before we get into it. So at the department head meeting, I guess prior to the department head meeting, we had some group of employees reach out to commissioners, Cerise, about the accrued sick leave and specifically. So we did bring it up at the department head meeting. We got department heads input there for 2 or 3 weeks after the department head meeting, and then also met with some employees. We wrote down all the information that was presented to us, and then went to work to kind of draft a policy that would work for the county as well as the employees. And I think that's what we got here today, is a middle grounds for both parties to, we might be able to work with. Am I forgetting forgetting anything else. That's kind
No.
of, that's kind of with the roadmap of where we were at, and where we're going.
Yeah, an open discussion to see how Commissioner Hofstadter and Commissioner Blessinger suggestions, talk through it a little bit.
So we got really like, 3 different things we're actually presenting today. Some things didn't even, we're not bringing to you because financially it just didn't make sense. There was a proposal for buying out at a certain percentage some accrued sick leave days. And we did the math on that financially. It just did not make sense, so we didn't even put it in a proposal. But we did look at everything that was brought up to us, during those meetings. So, how do you guys want to have this be presented to you guys? Do you want it in a one piece at a time and just look at that piece and then move on to the next piece? Is that?
Yeah, you said there were 3 proposals.
Three pieces in it. So if we look up page 35, it's just the general PTO policy, section 4.1. That toward the middle of the page there.
Did you hand out some?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, we're not going.
I can make some copy. I do have one extra copy. It's the kind of what was
So is
we kind
anything,
of handed out.
so this is the one that I have, the most recent, the one that I printed, it says it was effective on 2017. So has anything changed from on 4.4 after that?
That's an old one.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
it's changed in
2022.
21.
Accrued sick leave is, so this is the current one, this is the old one. I think that's what I get.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So here's one version of it.
Okay.
Basically, what is in red there is what we would be proposing. So the only thing that we're proposing on this is current policy reads PTO hours awarded to new employees on date of hire to be used prior to 6-month anniversary. So the initial proposal here would be just to let it read PTO hours awarded to new hires on date of hire and remove the use or lose prior to 6 months anniversary. So,
Why do we have to use or lose on that 6 months?
to tell you the truth, looking back at it, it makes no sense to have it in there. So that's why I would definitely be in support of changing that. It's irrelevant. It doesn't make a difference whether the employee uses it in the first 6 months or the first year. They're not getting any additional days out of it. It's just when they use those days. So having that clause in there, a lot of the department heads, when they're doing a lot of training, for them to use days, being forced to use days rather than just being able to carry them over throughout the year.
So if they're awarded January to February, those 6 days, they use them or lose them within 6 months. So for the rest of the year, they have 0?
No, then
That's what right underneath it.
yeah, right here, then on their 6-month anniversary, they're prorated a set amount of hours. So it's based off of a calculation to get you through the rest of the year.
I'm not sure how it plays out because a person's date of hire could be any day of the year. But I know sometimes you put time frames on things so that in this case, you wouldn't want somebody to use every bit of their PTO in December. Like a normal employee with their normal hours, you don't want, like the auditor's office wouldn't want 4 employees all using every bit of their PTO down to the last month. I mean, because that destroys the operations of an office. But in this particular case, you have a person hired March 1st, doesn't make much difference if they do it March 20th or July or August, it doesn't matter.
Exactly, yeah.
I don't know that Brooke, do you see a benefit one way or the other? I'm just asking, if you deal with some of this, any benefit from your point?
No, with the timing of the end of the year though, I can't remember, would that have to be used before the end of the year depending on how?
We would still allow them to roll over into accrued sick leave, so
Yeah, no.
up to 9 days worth, so.
Anything from the auditor on that change? Do you see any issues with that?
I don't know why it was put in.
Looking back at it now, I don't know.
So it's, we're not gonna get a complaint from any staff because it's just giving them more leeway, right? It's not
Exactly.
taking anything away, so.
No,
It'll just follow the regular calendar year process.
Well, but the first year you're hired here, you don't follow the normal year.
Well, yeah, I mean, You get prorated hours for your first 6 months in current policy, but it wouldn't be no different. They would still get these hours as soon as they're hired. They just wouldn't be restricted to using them use or lose the first 6 months. They could carry them on into.
If a person is hired anytime in 24, they don't get on the normal schedule of PTO until 26, January 1st, 26. So I don't.
Because I mean, for example, my employee, I got one employee, but I've got to have her off on Friday because if I don't have her off, she's losing her hours. So I've got to schedule her off. So
because of this.
Because of that use or lose. So.
Or what was her other option? Can she bank those?
No, use or lose.
So this operates different than on, if it was 2026 and her last day of the year, she could bank.
Right, yeah. These first 6 months of hours are use or lose when they're first hired on.
I'd say the department head would make the determination of when people can get off so their office can operate, so I don't have a problem with removing it. Commissioner Hofstadter?
No.
Commissioner Stefano?
Agreed.
Okay, let's just do these one at a time so we can have it in the record.
Okay.
I'll move that we edit page 35 of the personnel policy handbook to remove the term "to be used prior to 6-month anniversary" under the PTO hours awarded to new employees.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Motion carries.
Now we're going to look at page 37, section 4.2, accrued sick leave. That's been a stickling point. When we made the policy change to PTO, we put a stipulation in there to use accrued sick leave. It had to be an FMLA qualifying event. However, you could use up to 3 days worth, no questions asked, after PTO had already been exhausted. That's our current policy. The proposal here, I'm just going to read what line that would be. Accrued sick leave may be used only for approved FMLA event, exception up to 6 days worth of accrued sick leave hours may be used without filing FMLA, period. So currently it's got only after all annual PTO has been exhausted. So we would be removing that and then bumping it from 3 days to 6 days. That's the proposal.
I'd be opposed to that one. I want to leave it as it is.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything that you would like to share, Mr. Stefano? Do you have a different opinion?
No.
Good, so no changes needed there.
The third one here, and we put it in there, me personally, it's just, you're gonna have it on the front side of the year or the back side of the year. I don't see this as being a game changer, but it was brought up, so we're gonna propose it anyways. 4.6.6 calculation of FMLA leave. The current policy is if you have PTO, comp hours, accrued sick hours, you have to use those concurrent with FMLA until you run out. And then under normal FMLA, you go to unpaid time.
Give this under A, 4.6.6A, is that what you said?
Right here.
So this is the existing policy?
Yeah. This is the same exact policy. The only difference is the red part would be additions. Other than that, the policy is not. Just the red is just the addition to that. So it's brought up that if somebody's on FMLA January, February, March, they're basically out of PTO days for the rest of the year, which is true because we have the rule that they have to run concurrently. So the proposal was to allow employees to preserve a week's worth, which we got is 5 days worth of PTO that they could keep and not have to use while they're on FMLA. So then they would have for April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, they would have 5 days worth of PTO. For me, I understand that concept, but all we're doing is moving the unpaid time. If somebody has a sick kid, we give them unpaid time. somebody's got a vacation, we're not gonna really hold it against them, tell them they can't take vacation because they had a baby, first part of the year. They would go into unpaid time. So retaining those 5 days, I don't see a huge benefit in that personally, but some department heads and employees were hardcore with it.
And the other thing is, it's gonna be pretty rare, because out of 100 employees, how many will have an FMLA event each year? 2%?
Well, yeah, and then you got intermittent FMLA, which is gonna be more here and there, and then you're gonna have more of the consistent FMLA, which would be something if you for a heart attack, a baby, something like that, you're gonna be on continuous FMLA, which was where this would apply the most at. And I think it impacts it most in the early part of the year, but.
In practice, how is this working now? Because I believe the handbook says if somebody takes unpaid leave, they have to get permission from the board of commissioners, correct?
In practice right now, if obviously you guys meet twice, throughout the month. So what happens now is the department head will get with me if employee A's got a sick kid that calls in and they're out of days, we just work it out and okay, we're gonna approve this day. Obviously you guys are meeting twice a month, so it's hard to be able to get with you on those case by cases that we gotta have an answer today. But if it's planned out, then we do get on the commissioner's agenda and say,
And I'm gonna go the other way, when we hire people, if they have already time.
correct, yeah, if they got
During hire, that's a condition of employment.
Yeah.
We allow them time.
unpaid time.
I guess I would ask you to look at if the handbook says we're supposed to make permission for those, we should probably either change the handbook if it doesn't work the way it is, or we should probably follow it.
Okay.
So if you look at it, and I'm not opposed to changing it, and I'm not mad at you for approving these when they should, because things come up.
Yeah, that's right.
We probably just need to change the handbook so that it doesn't, so that you're not doing something wrong.
Yeah.
By.
Well, and maybe instead of asking permission to grant those days, it would just be to inform us that you granted those
Communicate.
days, so that we know, one person's using it more than others or whatever, just so we know.
Yeah.
You mean unpaid time off?
Right. So in these cases where,
Life
maybe
happens
we should
and-
come and get our permission, they can't because our meetings are every 2 weeks. That you would just inform us that, I granted this unpaid time to this person due to whatever circumstance.
Right, we should make our policy more friendly,
Right.
because we're able to give any authority that we have to someone else if we choose to, and maybe this would be a situation where we could do that. I just would like the.
And them occasions there are very rare occasions that this happens, but, obviously life's gonna happen,
I worry about if we change this, was the tracking of it, would this be a tracking issue in your office?
It's either on the front end or the back end. And then if, let's say the employee quits, you're gonna have a payout of 75% if they're been here a year or longer.
So if I'm here a year, a month, and I use up all of my PTO time, or I don't use it up and I quit, I get paid a percentage of it. And if I use it all with FMLA time, and I need it off for a doctor's appointment in December, I have to ask Marky, this is what I'd like to do, or my kid's sick, I'm not coming in today. We could either say, well, you're fired for taking an excused absence, or we'd be reasonable, try to work with people. I guess as I was reading through these, I didn't think that the employees were being ridiculous. I understand where they're coming from, and I think it's rare.
Yeah, we've never had any abuse since I've been here. We've not had any issues with that. I think it's a perception thing. I'm coming back from FLA. I got 5 days PTO.
I guess I wouldn't necessarily. I don't care if we do it or we don't do it to the board. But if I'm an employee and I have an FMLA event, I want 3 days left, or a day, or 5, whatever it is, because I think that I might like to travel to see my family later in the year and be paid for it. I think like Brooke said, either I'm not getting paid during my FMLA event, or I'm not being paid, and
Yeah.
I guess not being paid to travel with a family, I wouldn't say that would be excusable absence
Unpaid
necessarily for an unpaid time. But then you just have somebody like me and say, I'm not feeling good this day and I can't come in. I mean,
I think the only issue that might arise out of that is if, you get these 5 days after your FMLA and then roll them over at the end of the year. Whereas if they're used up during that FMLA, they don't roll over.
but do we care? I know it's a liability whenever, the more we bank, the more liability it is long-term for the county, but is it a concern?
I mean, I'd rather them not roll over if they've used all those days already. Because I don't like the bank PTO, I want people to use their PTO, I mean, ideally.
And typically, employers don't have it like this. I will say 99% of your employers are not going to have a written rule like this. The employer either decides to, or PTO while on FMLA do, or they do not require them to use their PTO. That's usually, you pick one or the other. That's how you mention.
I'd say if we have to choose one or the other, I would choose that we make them use it. Because again, it's for the functionality of an office, because that person's gone however many months and then they're off another month with using all their PTO time. But just because other people do it, are you saying we can't do it or we shouldn't do it?
No, I'm not saying we could be at 1%. We could do it as long as it's in our policy and written up like this. It would be legal and fine, but typically you don't see that in plans. It's just either make them use it or you don't make them use it.
Is this a big deal to the folks that are in the attendance?
My comment would be, as an employee with a lot of accrued sick time, and I go on an FMLA, I would want to pull all of it. Am I understanding that I would pull all from accrued first?
Oh, yeah,
And then my
absolutely. That don't
PTO
change.
stands?
Yeah, that don't change at all.
Okay, I just wanted
Yeah.
to clarify that in my
No,
own brain. I
But
was
no,
trying to
that's
catch
correct.
up.
If she'd use her PTO first.
No.
Yeah.
If you're on
Wait.
FMLA.
No.
How does that work?
Yeah, if you're on FMLA, you can go into your accrued sick leave.
You take it.
So
sick leave, then
accrued sick is first, and then my
Yeah.
so there would be a.
It's a choice, I mean, you don't have to, but
There's nothing.
so you have to, but
But I would wanna do that.
Exactly.
Because I've got, I've been here 30 years, I've got,
to get into your accrued sick, it's gotta be enough to like qualify. So
Gotcha.
you would be smart to do that.
Okay, so
It's the
that would be
person who
their own.
doesn't have any.
Right, I get that part. I just wanted to make sure I was understanding what the policy was saying.
So if that employee has a month of FMLA qualifying event, they would use 30 days, they have it in their bank, 30 days of bank, then come back and they would have their 20 days of vacation.
Oh, yeah,
whatever
yeah,
it is.
So that-
absolutely.
okay.
No, you're talking about the person that's not, I mean, they wipe out everything and then they come back and it's still half a year and has no time.
Anybody else have a comment?
That's what we're talking
I have two comments. So the first one that you guys passed, does that take effect now or is it for new hires in the future? Because I have one in that boat. They have to use it or lose it within 6 months. So
So you want to take effect immediately, one passage.
So they would have to use
You
it.
just have to.
And then how that works,
handbook
Mr.
updated.
Chair, unless it's an ordinance for the fine, right? They would take.
Right.
Or
You passed that today, I think it would be effective today, unless you said it was effective July 1.
so your employee would go under the new rule.
And then the second one would be, I've talked to my employees and I've got a few in the past couple of years in this boat with FMLA, mainly due to having, a child. They just feel like they're more comfortable coming back and saying, I got these 5 days I can rely on. I don't have to get commissioner's approval like it states now. What happens if the commissioners don't give them approval or are they gone or, what, it just gives them a little bit of comfort knowing that they have 5 days and it won't be possibly denied or their job could be gone. Because if they're out of time, you guys can decide, well, I don't know, keep them on.
And why the day, just so
I don't
somebody
know,
could have a
that's
whole
just
week?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we came up with, just to not.
If you would approve that, I'd like that in writing or something from the employee agreeing that they want to.
No, we would have to have that.
We do, because I don't want something, saying, no, I want to use all mine, and then, we want it in writing.
It's gonna have to, administratively, it's gonna be a lot of work, because anybody who's gonna have FMLA, we're gonna have to, because we're gonna know now. I mean, we ain't gonna find this out 2 months after they're on FMLA, you know, we gotta decide whether you're gonna retain the 5 days or you don't. But administratively, it's not gonna be a cakewalk doing it, admin, I'll say that.
I mean, tracking it from like difficult enough,
Yes.
especially for men.
Mr. Stefano, did you have a recommendation for the board?
I like the 5 days to fall back on. That's where I stand. I do. I mean, you know, Sean's got a good point there. Somebody comes off of maternity leave, you know, that wellness checks or, you know, if there's complications or I understand there's a maternity leave. I get that. But that comfort and, you know, that's where I stand.
I don't think I'd make a change. I think they should use them up and then have unpaid afterwards. Mainly because I don't like the idea of them rolling over technically used them. I would go with no change.
So what, I guess I would have supported it, but you're saying that if it's a administrative burden of any kind, I don't know that I would be too in favor of it. So if a regular employee comes in and I know I'm having heart surgery on the 1st of July, I'm gonna be off until September 10th, and I talked to you about that. So at that time, is that how it works? They have a conversation with you about that, and they say, this is what I'm gonna need, here's my paperwork, and you say, granted, if it's appropriate, and they would get paid for the first, whatever, number of days that they have, and then after that, if you haven't paid, then they'd have their job when they come back. At that time, would they just, would it be more than them saying, please hold back 3 days?
I think what we would have to do moving forward with any request of FMLA paperwork, what I would do is I would make up a form that basically says, I want to retain 5 days, I do not want to retain 5 days, and they'll have to return that with their FMLA at the time that certification comes in, because.
And then would we allow changes in the middle if they decide something different?
No.
Would that be so is that the extent of the burden, the new burden?
Yeah. Well, on the long-term FMLA, short-term, you got somebody on your intermittent FMLA that's got several follow-ups throughout the year. You know, I mean.
As I said, intermittent's always more difficult.
It's gonna be more difficult because
now it's one way, it's black and white.
Yeah.
You're taking a day, you're getting a day.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to revisiting it, but I guess if I have to make a decision, I'm gonna stick with Commissioner Hofstadter on this one and leave the policy as is from what I've heard here. If the department heads or employees want to get additional information of why it's a good idea, I'm not saying I would vote differently in the future if I considered it, but with the information I have, that's where I would go. Do we want to vote? Anybody want to make a motion to make a change? Sounds like that motion would fail, but you're welcome to make it if you'd like. Okay, so no change there. Okay, anything else?
That is it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Marky.
All right,
The
right
rates
on
went up.
time.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
When you and
Yeah, we're gonna take 2 minutes.
when this first started about software,
What do you think?
into that at all?
Should we pass or
I
not
don't
pass?
know where to look unless we change.
That was
our
my question.
language.
I think you're out of
I don't know if we're ready to do that.
Okay,
mind.
you know more than I do. I'm not-
No, you're perfect. What you said. Because
As far as software,
my thing was
but
like,
as
you know,
far as how they work
6
and
minutes.
stuff.
It's an issue.
No, I'm not interested. I get that, but I
You're
have
hanging
asked
6
for
times, 6
that.
things back, you all you do. It's easy.
I guess as I read through some of their concerns, I understand that you don't want to be 6 months with no time off that you can take as an option. I get that. It's like I couldn't help out a heart attack, so I'd like to be able to go to my kid's graduation a day early in December if they get, mid-year December. So, like I said, I could have my mind changed. I think this is, from what I'm hearing, it's the best.
We looked at Paycom, we looked at Paycom.
Thanks, guys.
None of us found.
The first one.
I know, I brought it in here, I'm like.
6 days, you don't have.
I thought that was crazy. I'm walking in the rain like this. Like,
Is it raining? Just move to the front.
You're still out of the camera shot, don't worry. I don't know, I may be in it today.
Susan, I can't turn it.
No.
You sure?
I don't wanna get my butt kicked by the prosecutors because they're so hot there. I'll suffer for another half an hour.
Greg, if somebody is in their 6-month period right now, we no longer have to see them if we use it by the end of the year.
That's correct. I believe that all
Like his
changed.
employee needs it Friday.
That's
It's no longer
correct.
be affected.
That's
So
correct.
it's anything as of today, that.
Correct.
I'm trying to
We
figure out
probably
what part
have to
of
copy
it.
that section and
Everybody's all
send it
backed
out
up.
there, right?
We'll let them know about it, all the department heads, or the, everyone that was listening.
So there's your answer.
So it's anybody that's under 6 months.
It's as of today,
Anybody under 6-month period.
They are now, yeah,
there's no 6-month period.
there's no 6 month period.
The only thing there is about a 6-month period is that they gain more time. They gain more time in 6 months. On their 6-month anniversary, they gain more time.
Till the end.
They get the prorated.
So their first year, they can earn a maximum of up to 10.
Well, it depends. If you look at this chart, if you hired somebody right now,
But a maximum if
they would get these dates right here, and then they would earn on their 6-month anniversary, however much times a month they're in.
That's what you have.
Tax the month of their.
See, down here, you can get, I'm just gonna go for my office, 11.08
Okay,
hours per every month that's left in that year.
okay, so if you hired in on January 1st,
Then then
on June 1st, you would gain those extra days, so
July 1st.
July 1st. Yeah, so.
You get 11.08 times whatever months are left, whole or partial until January 1. So you get 66 more hours.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Which comes out in the change
Divide by 7. Or it goes by, if you have 7, 7.5, 8, it's on your number of hours.
That's what I thought, but topic 2 and topic 3.
Ultimately, if you gain them in December, you're either gonna use them or you're gonna roll them. You can't use them.
No, it'll roll till next year. Really, you're going by anniversary date, your first year. Right. Up until you get to the end of that year. That following
I think I'll sit down for a little bit.
You should actually acknowledge.
I didn't know, we'll talk about those whenever we come back.
Okay, I don't know what to do with them.
I wasn't sure. I was like, I'm-
Yes.
I mailed mine.
Greg, you give this to Sean. Just tell him to put it out in there. I appreciate it.
I was saying, I didn't know if they were supposed to go to the
I
library.
was waiting here. All right, let's get back to order, I suppose. Just for the record, we have the Bakery Second Edition subdivision in Cass Township. There's some paperwork here for the Board of Commissioners to sign. My understanding is this is a documentation on something that we approved a year ago, and this is just, closing the loop on that.
I don't think I have to respond to that, because it's already been approved. It was just never signed.
Okay. So,
Greg, I don't have to put this in the minutes, we just have to sign it. It's already been approved.
It's been approved. Got approved almost a year.
okay, so that's what we're doing here. I'll sign these and we'll be done with this. The next thing on the agenda is the Congressional School Fund Report from the auditor.
Every year annually, we have to year report of the money held in trust of the congressional school. Right now, there's $54,889.25. It has been signed by myself and the treasurer, so I guess you all sign and we'll send that to the Secretary of Education and Auditor State.
And historically, I think is this the thing that's in the Civil War?
It's the sale of the 16th Township section back in God knows when, and it's held in trust and perpetuity.
So we can't do anything with the money.
We hold $17,402 in trust, and then the interest that's earned on it, some of it's distributed to the schools twice a year, but it's the same amount every year, it never changes.
And where does so 100,
No,
where does the rest of it go?
it goes. Oh.
So there's really.
The actual interest account that has 54,000 in it.
And what can we do with that money?
Nothing, it stays in trust.
It's a remnant of.
So the interest has surpassed the original principal.
Oh, yeah, a long time ago.
That's great.
It just sits
I
there.
don't know how that was done.
It just sits there and accrues interest.
Guess we should talk to our legislator. I prefer just to give them school like a musical.
Well, it was a certain amount goes to each of the 4 schools.
I think you may have given that back. I didn't sign.
You already signed
Yeah,
it.
you signed it.
Oh, okay. I didn't remember that. Unless you signed it yesterday. Okay, so for the record, I'll move that we sign the Congressional School Fund Report as we approve it.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have a Southern Indiana Gas and Electric Supplement Easement Right-of-Way document. I believe this is one that the original easement said that the county is giving them an easement through some of our property to place wooden poles. Now they want to change them to metal poles. Am I correct? Is this that issue?
He probably knows more about it than I
It
do.
is. Okay, so
Yeah, they were just upgrading the infrastructure.
the county has some land along the bypass by Rural King, and this runs through some of that. Anybody have any problem with doing that?
No.
And what's even better, CenterPoint is offering $500 for the execution of this supplemental easement as a bonus. If we get it out to them by May 15th, we'll get an additional $250. So it changes nothing for us, and I guess we'll have a little bit of fun. So I'll move that we approve signing the supplement to the easement for right of way.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Purdue Extension intern request. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Hi. Hi. So I am just requesting again that we split that seasonal position into 2 positions. Last year, we kind of did it as a trial basis, and we would like to formally request 2 positions now to be put onto the books for a seasonal assistant. For this budget year, we are fine separating that money into 2 pots. So it's a line item of $6,344. That would be just divided amongst the existing position and the secondary position.
So you want to split it for 2025?
For this year.
Last year they had an intern that was before the fair, and one that was after the fair.
Mhm.
Did they overlap for the fair?
They overlapped for the fair.
And so now she would like to do that.
So we approved it just as a temporary fix. Last time you want to create a new position.
Yeah, if we could get it formalized, this would help us as we start to think about 25 and 26. Our office manager has expressed that she's going to be retiring. So if we could get this formalized, then perhaps we could move her into that seasonal position role where she could still come and help us as we train on a new person. And then not have quite a gap in knowledge that would happen from losing somebody who's been here for 20 years. So we're kind of thinking ahead, but also it really helps us out during the summer months.
So I don't think it's a funding issue because we're not asking for any more funding. But have we talked to HR about creating the position and the steps it takes to do that?
I talked to Marky briefly about whether or not he thought I needed to come and formally request this, and he concurred that I needed to probably formally request it, so.
So you're gonna start with us that we say you can do it, then you'll go
Yes.
actually put it together.
Yes.
Okay.
If that is
You can do it.
appropriate way, I don't know.
I think it can be done.
She wants it to be a permanent solution, so it's always two interns, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so,
Or maybe not an intern per se, but somebody who comes in to help us
gotcha.
part-time.
That'd be two separate line items
Yes,
instead of splitting it one in half.
right. We've always used them during the summer, but we are finding that we could use people like now during tagging season to help during those tagging events. And there are occasional times that it'd be nice to call in somebody who just wants a few hours and not a permanent position.
So you're wanting to create a part-time position?
Is it part, do we have to give them insurance if it's part-time?
No.
No, oh.
I mean, I'm just, or are you trying to say you just want to use, you want to have two interns versus with the same amount of money?
So the need is you want one intern, which would be a true kind of an intern, a college student or a high school student that would come in and do work with you for a set number of months.
Correct.
Secondary person, you want an on-call person.
Basically, yeah. Yeah. I assumed that was just the titled seasonal help, because that's what our line item says. But if it's better titled part-time.
So it's not really the creation of a second intern.
So seasonal, but for this person, it could be any time during the year.
I think what she's wanting to do is split what is currently the intern line item into two line items.
Are these two
What's
different
that term
road
that they do
class?
for
Are these two
medical?
different road class? I don't know, maybe they
Yeah.
are.
For medical people, they just go work somewhere as needed.
PRN. Road class needed.
Yes, so that's what you want a PRN person, right?
Yes, yes, that's exactly what I want.
Does anybody have any problem with that?
No, no.
Okay.
not with it.
That way we don't beat it up any further. You have our, so I don't think we'll formally approve it until we see a job description, whatever paperwork has to be done, but I think you have our consent to move forward with that. Does that sound fair to the board?
Yes.
PRN person, that's a good one.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So she'll proceed by going with HR and then coming back,
Right, and if, even if it's a,
and you'll formally do something then, or is this formal?
well, no, I think we'll look at
Not
whatever they
formally done.
create. So she'll bring us back a piece of paper, so this is these are the duties, this is the type of job it is. And then we can choose to create that or not, but I think we probably would if it meets just the generic terms you talked about today.
Right.
That sound fair?
Yeah.
That way we can see the job description and go through the process. So,
Sounds
yeah, I
great.
think we'll be no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, we have some discussion items here. The first one that is discussed will be the property maintenance ordinance. Originally, it was ordinance 2019-01. There would be if we make these changes today, it would be ordinance 2024-06. Commissioner Hossetter brought some good ideas. We had some good discussion, a couple, I don't know how long ago, maybe the last meeting. Last meeting, and make some changes to what we would accept as a fence for our property maintenance ordinance. And there were a few other changes. Do you want to discuss those or just go with?
Yes. Sorry, thought I had it pulled up here, but I don't.
Primarily, we added the definition of fence and what materials would constitute to be allowed, and also more importantly, what would not be considered appropriate materials. And then that definition carries through the whole ordinance. Secondarily, then I incorporated some terms. We've had some hearings before, and burden of proof is always kind of a question that would come up before this board. And we are adding in there that any complaint carries the burden of proof of preponderance of the evidence, which in the court system is the lowest level of burden. More likely than not, there's the burden there. And then finally, we have we capped the amount of a lien that can be attached to the property in the property records at $10,000 or $20,000 per statute.
So I'm in favor of all of those. We discussed them last time. I think the board was.
From 10 to 20?
So.
There's two separate ones. There's a 10 and a 20.
The 10 would be for residents and in general, the second would be for commercial properties.
Commercial properties.
So just one signature?
There's two. So I'll move that we approve making the changes. So Mr. Schneider, with this one, because it does make a change to the fees and fines, does it need to be advertised a different way?
All I did was cap it. I would say that it does not need to be advertised. The original fine amount is still there from before. This just simply put a cap on it. I don't believe it needs to be advertised.
Okay, so I'll move we approve ordinance number 2024-06.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. And I think we have been somewhat lucky that we haven't had more trouble with those than we did, because like I think the example that you added, someone could stack just about anything up, and if it.
There's a stack of tires.
Right, or I think you had on the
can't
tree
see
stumps.
Yep.
Tree stumps could be stacked, and it would be, if it hit whatever's behind it, that would work, so I think that's a good improvement. All right, so another item that we have for discussion is, excuse me, some air conditioner used for the ambulance bay at the Du Bois station. So I don't know how familiar everybody is with it. I think there's some emails that went around.
Cerise forgot the second copy.
In Northeast Du Bois, they have a new building there, or a newer building, and the ambulances park in a bay. That ambulance service, people have said that it gets too hot in that area to maintain the quality of medicine that the ambulance holds. And they have a request for getting some air conditioning put into that bay to alleviate that problem. I believe Mr. Schneider's writing an MOU for who's going to be responsible for what things going forward. Is that what the purpose of that will be?
Yes.
And
The exchange of services, who's responsible for what, and the amount of funding or where they make them for donation.
I think the job of our board today would be either we are going to say, yes, we will support moving forward with putting this air conditioner in the unit or in the building or not. And I think the county council would then decide if they have funding for it. Does that sound accurate?
Okay, correct.
So I think I'm in a position.
The board's job is going to be to enter that contract, that memorandum of understanding with the appropriate other entities, and the funding, yes, is with the council.
So you think we should not make any motion today?
If you support doing it, I mean, just say that, and that allows me to continue to forward on with the MOU. You're going to be signing that then at that later date, but you're not approving it today because you don't have it in front of you.
So I would say that we would approve this singular issue, and the MOU will be more broad as well, right?
Yes.
So I would say that just for our purposes here, that we support moving forward with that. I think the cost was in the $5,000 range. See, that one of the problems is that we don't own the building, so do we want to put money into a building we don't own? That was, I think that's the sticking point here. If it was our building, we wouldn't. If it was a bay that was in the highway department, if we wanted to do it, that would be different than if it's a bay that we get from that someone else owns. In this particular case, I like the arrangement that we have with the fire district, and it works out to the benefit of the county. So I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'd be okay with it.
I'm okay with it.
Okay. So we have consensus to move forward with that creation of that MOU. We have a request for courthouse use for Memorial Day services on 5/25 at 10 o'clock, I
I
believe.
thought you already approved that
Well, we were gonna approve it
when you got the form.
once he sent that in. So I'm
You
going-
can send it.
Right, he just sent it in recently, so I think we're in good shape there. Just wanted to bring that up. He signed the paperwork. All right, we have one last item here that at least one more. So at the last meeting, I asked if the board would look at House Enrollment Act number 1158. This has to deal with county contract requirements. Have each of you had a chance to do that?
I did not.
No, I did not.
Okay.
I did pull it up here, and I do not believe that what I'm looking at is what you're asking me to look at.
That would be for a different year.
Yes. If you do search it, for some reason it takes you to 2022 typically, your Google result. And top right hand corner, there's a drop down to go to 2024.
All right, so the auditor has a copy of it, it's unmarked, so.
I got some highlights on it, but.
So maybe, how about we'll do this, let's put it on the agenda for the next meeting, because I don't think there's any rush to do
I'll
this.
do my best to email you this exact link that I have.
Okay. I was able to pull it up.
Okay.
In short, I'll give you my take on it. The state put out a new rule here. And I guess my take on it would be that we adopt the new rules. That's about the gist of it. There's a process for contract review. And there's even a process, so I think the short version would be if health department wants to get into a contract for, I would guess it'd be about anything, any county purpose. So they want to do a contract where they have a visiting nurse coming, it's $100,000 a year. That contract would go to the county executive and to the county attorney. We could, currently when a department wants to do a contract, a lot of times Mr. Chair will review it, he'll send them a file and he'll say, please see if they'll add these 7 things, right? These are basically our boilerplate things that the county requires. That at a minimum, that would be part of it. So we could, this Enroll Act would allow us to.
We could adopt an ordinance that simply sets forth, these are our standard contract terms. That act, which will be an ordinance July 1, says some things that you can address, such as venue and jurisdiction, alternative dispute resolution, such as mediation, arbitration, as opposed to litigation. It also talks about, I already said jurisdiction, didn't I? Termination. You know, I have standard termination language. I like to basically 30 days notice and then we're done. Some people push back on that. Jurisdiction is an issue from time to time where they want us to be out in Spokane and we don't want to go there. You're here, it's good in Indiana, at least whether you want to do Boise County or not, or a federal court. And then some other things which Sandy and I have come across in the audit process for the past couple of years, which we had in there as well. And then I guess
Suspension and debarment.
the suspension and debarment of federal funds. So again, I have this list of 5 or 6 things. They're not relevant to every contract, but when they are, I send them out. The one you just signed today, I believe, had those terms added onto it. The one that Brent is bringing with those bridge has those relevant ones added onto it. This act allows us to make an ordinance and say, these are required. And you submit it to that person.
Well, it also says in the law that they have to give them to me within a time here so I can get them on Gateway, otherwise they're not.
I'll read it again, but I felt like the statute, the review process wasn't us passing an ordinance, that was the process. The ordinance just dealt with us adding those contracts. If we want to adopt contract terms, then we can do that.
It says, yeah, the county executive may by ordinance require standard contractual language.
Correct.
And then in addition, under a certain code to approve contracts, the county executive may adopt an ordinance to delegate additional authority to approve contracts to other county employees. So you're saying, Mr. Chair, we could either choose to do section 5, we could do our standard language, we could do section 6 if we wanted to delegate the approval process to someone else.
Correct.
So like if we had a county administrator,
Correct.
we could say county administrator is in charge of approving.
Right.
Otherwise, you're saying that the remainder of these items are effective July 1st, regardless if we pass an ordinance or not.
That was my interpretation of it.
So the review of county contracts is in effect regardless of the contract or local ordinance.
Correct. I read it to mean that the ordinance would, again, if we have terms we want in there, that's A, and then the other part is if we wanted to delegate it an additional authority.
And the remainder is just in effect.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, if the board wouldn't mind looking at that, we'll have it on the agenda for the next meeting, 2 weeks, and we'll decide if we want to pass that ordinance. With the standard language, I wouldn't see why we wouldn't want to, because just make it.
Just makes it
more
standard.
straightforward. Yeah, make it standard. Okay, so we'll do that for 15 minutes at the next meeting. Looks like Kathy Kern is here. She's on the agenda for 10:30. It's a couple minutes early, but if you're ready, you're welcome to come up. Good morning.
I have some questions about Rick Chambers. Why isn't he suspended? Was Josh Conselman suspended right away when he got in trouble? And was he terminated right away? I don't know, but that's a question, what's the difference if he was to Rick here, still working when he got in trouble in another state and being investigated?
Your question is, has a certain employee been suspended?
Yeah, I know he hasn't, because I talked to him Friday. I know he's still here, he's still working.
Okay, so what's your question?
Why hasn't he been suspended? Because he's been investigated in another state for wrongdoing when he knew what he was doing was wrong. You all know what he was doing was wrong, and he's still working.
Mr. Schneider, are we able to talk about ongoing litigation?
Employment matters are not, those are reserved for executive sessions to discuss.
And I hope there's
You're
no.
welcome to voice a concern and things of that nature, but soliciting a response, I don't think is going to be fruitful.
Well, I know.
Okay.
And I hope nothing bad happens to me or my family for me voicing my opinion, because I know it works kind of like that. So I hope no repercussions come to me for speaking up today.
Okay. Again, if you have comments and concerns, you're welcome to.
I don't, he's investigator for the county, so how can he be doing his job correctly? If he would be investigating me, I would come back and say, hey, he's not trustworthy. He got in trouble in Kentucky, so how can he have a good reputation? His reputation is no good.
Okay.
And another thing, the signs in the county, does this county not have an ordinance for signs?
We do not.
You should,
Because
it's gaudy.
In the unincorporated areas of the county, there's not a.
There should be.
What signs are you talking
The
about?
huge signs. If everybody put up huge signs that are up, just think that the few that are up are gaudy. Like you pull into Ferdinand, they got 4 huge signs. You can't even hardly pull out the places. If everybody keeps doing this,
Right. So within the town limits of Ferdinand.
I know it's different. That's their ordinance.
That is
Just like Huntingburg has their ordinance.
As the city of Jasper, yes.
And so there should be a county ordinance.
Right, so the county doesn't have an ordinance, and there are also some of the signs you're referring to, there are different rules for political signs as well. And, but again, from this board's perspective, there's not an ordinance that, takes care of this.
I'm interested to hear what you have to say. So in the county, can you give me an example of a sign that you think is in bad taste or in bad location?
Well, they're becoming like rows of them. Like you see 3 of them together, you know, and they're huge. They're blocking views. You know, so far most of them are kind of off the road a little bit. But say Doug Eaglehair puts the sign up the same size there, and Tom puts his sign up the same size next to it. It's just gaudy looking. You know, they're political signs, but why can't we have a standard political sign? And there should be an ordinance about language. Do we want bad language all over the county, like in Huntingburg? You know, there should be something about profanity on these signs. You know, because Huntingburg's got a big problem over there with profanity right by the school.
I found them in bad taste myself,
Yeah.
but I don't want to, I guess on the other hand, I want to be very cautious with limiting somebody's political free speech.
Yeah, but when you come to profanity, there should be, you know, when your grandkids say, "What's that say? What's that mean?" You know, do you really want to be sitting there explaining what, Biden means, you know?
Mr. Blossinger is correct. There are Supreme Court cases and case law that determine whether or not you can regulate political free speech. So some of those rules are hard to enact.
Yeah, I'm with you. When I drove by, and there was one on 6th Street, you know,
Yeah.
at one time, and they were in Huntingburg, and I personally think they're in bad taste. If that person was my neighbor, I'd probably,
Yeah.
I said, Bill, do you really think that's appropriate? But as far as forcibly being able to take down something like that, I'm not going there. I don't think it would hold up legally for one, and 2, I don't know if I would want to go there, because just because I find someone else's speech distasteful, I don't want to limit it necessarily. Unless it causes harm to someone else, right?
So I can put any type of profanity sign up at my house, and it's gonna be okay. Because it's my free speech.
It would not be okay. It might be legal.
And the county couldn't do nothing to me.
This board can't answer your legal questions, okay? I can tell you, like we said, that there's not a sign ordinance in the unincorporated areas of the county. There are that right-of-ways, things of that nature, which you voiced a concern about, which are very valid. You can't obstruct visions and right-of-ways on our county highways. So those would be eligible to be removed. You're not allowed to place those things where it would obstruct the view or impact the highway department from carrying out their duties.
I'm with you 100% on that, because I have seen political signs on the road, right?
Yeah.
Those wouldn't be allowed. We pull those up. There used to be people trying to sell you internet service. They put them places where they weren't supposed to be, and they get removed. So yes, 100%. If it's a safety concern, those have to go. People sometimes don't follow those rules. Even people that are trying to become rule makers, right? Congressional candidates put them in where they shouldn't all the time, or they're their people do. So definitely, if there's ever one of those and it's our jurisdiction, please let us know. I think we get out there immediately if it's a safety issue, for sure.
But I'm not the only one that feels this way about Mr. Chambers. I was just the one that's being willing to speak up about him.
All right, anything else?
No, because he'll be investigating his sons, and how's that right? Because there's complaints about his son, so how, it's conflict of interest here.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have, looks like we have 3 appointments here. I'll just read them off one at a time, and we can hopefully pass the motion one in total. So first up, we have Du Bois County appointment to appoint Steve Fiegler to the Du Bois County Regional Sewer District. He would be representing the Greater Jasper School Corporation District. Aaron Berg for the Regional Sewer District, Southeast Du Bois School Corporation area, and Du Bois County Commissioner Nicholas Hostetter as a commissioner representative on the sewer district. I would make a motion that we approve all three appointments.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And we may have actually already made those appointments previously, but try doesn't hurt to officially.
Paperwork.
Right.
Paving projects, are you?
You ready to do that, okay? Because you're going to send them to the other bidders, should we wait to do it, or we're in good shape?
Yeah, this is what we're going with.
Are we going with low bidders on all of them? So
Yes, sir.
Won't be a problem with that.
Correct.
All right, if you want to come on up, we'll go ahead and consider that. Is that okay with the board? Okay.
Okay. I did review all the bids. The three low bidders were complete bids, and acceptable. So I recommend awarding as follows: 2402, which is 700 north and 200 west, to CalCar Paving, the amount of $299, $280.60. 2403, County Road 600 west, to CNR Construction, in the amount of $293, $336.70. And then 2404, 15th Street and Meridian Road, to CalCar Paving, in the amount of $142,082.30.
Do each of these have I think when we put out the bids, we say we need the work done by September 1st.
Yeah.
By some, what time frame are on these?
Yeah.
You don't have to give me
I don't have this one. I don't have this one.
It's by the fall, right? By the end of the fall sometime.
Yeah, this one is, like I said, I got it on the bid sheet.
That's okay. I mean, it's nothing that'll work over the year.
June 3rd, September 27th. So it gives them 4 months to get them done.
Okay. And you
This
know-
time of year, scheduling wise, you kind of got to give a bigger window to get them done.
Okay. I'll move that we approve 2402 to CalCar Paving, 2404 to CalCar Paving as well, and then 2403 to CNR Construction as the low bidders.
Second.
Any other discussion? Anything else? Okay, all in favor?
Just sign
Say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Sign the bids.
Okay. Just that one spot.
Just that one spot on each.
So just right underneath me.
That's it from after that.
I'll let you, yeah, I'll just keep that.
Same one you need, right?
On this one.
You said no on this one.
This form doesn't need to be tested. That's all I got.
have any business?
Not anymore.
Curtis?
I do not.
I do, the certified letter that we received, we were in Wabash Valley. Are we supposed to do anything with this? We're just notifying us and letting us know that it's coming.
With most of those, my understanding is that they want our opinion if we know of any historical significance to some area that they're disturbing, or if we are opposed to it for a health or safety reason. That's a lot of times those are the. So if you're okay with it and don't see a problem, then no action is due voice in there. I
Okay,
think so.
Typically, you'll get those via email as well.
yes. But I noticed that this one was certified, so I wanted to ask you.
I do have a new employee in my office, and Megward started last week. I did grant her a week off. She had a family vacation in July, so I told her that she could have that. I mean, what do you do in a case like those?
Right, generally, when we hire someone, we set the terms of that hiring.
Because, she said she'd need that one, which I agreed to.
Are we gonna come in and book and pay for it?
Right.
So in that case, are you gonna have her use a PTO?
Well, she's gonna go without pay.
Would you have PTO?
Well, she's got other days planned.
So in that case, by the book, she should be using her PTO for time off?
Right, and she is. She's got a son graduating and she's got to remove.
No, I mean, she's not using, for this vacation, she's not.
She won't have any left.
Her PTO days occurred before that vacation.
I mean, is the board, earlier we had this conversation, are we okay with letting Marky be our voice on that, or do we want to be involved? I don't want to give up anything that we need to be involved in, but I don't want to be in the middle of something we don't need to be involved
Okay, in
in.
this situation, I think if that was negotiated prior to employment, and she chose prior to no pay, that's kind of as far as who's hiring her.
Which one you and Marky?
Right now, if she was hired and then said, something came up, I would require the PTO days
Absolutely, that'd be totally
be used
different.
first. But that's a different situation because she's just being hired in.
So this is one of those areas, I'd rather the handbook be updated so that it gives that discretion if we want them to have.
Well, I feel like in this case, I probably, as department head, would have said, you get 6 PTO days, we'll use those 6 PTO days, and then beyond that, we'll have to see.
But that's what she's saying, she has other things that she wants to have for in the future, so we have to determine that, no, you can't go to your kid's graduation.
Right, or you say, yes, but here's how it's gonna work, we're gonna use up all those PTO days first.
Which we are.
I'll go ahead and allow you that graduation without being on pay. So.
I mean, I'm okay with whatever she's doing, I trust that, but what if we had a department head that we thought was free and loose with the rules? I don't know if I feel the same way.
Right.
Well, I think in what I'm more, it's in that first term of employment. After that, I would come to you and say, she needs a week off without pay if that's the case. But they get plenty of PTO days the second year. It's that first,
And I can't imagine many situations.
because you don't want to lose a good
I
employee.
wouldn't give somebody those days if they were needed for,
How many in that situation?
But I think the PTO day should always be exhausted first.
Exactly, and they would.
The only other thing that I wanted to talk about was if we are gonna set up these,
We need to.
so
We do.
would either of you find that next Wednesday or Thursday would be a time that would be a good time to start doing interviews for the future superintendent position? Do you see anything that any of these employees would say, oh, I can't do it at 4:15 starting next Wednesday or Thursday?
We'd like to kind of do it like we do our highway interviews, we'll start right away, a little after 4 to roughly 30 minutes each. If we-
Drop of 30. We usually do 30 or 15 when we do employees.
I think we did 30.
30, they usually go 30, yeah.
I don't know that we need that much time, but I mean, I'd rather schedule it and not use it than run over and run into somebody else's time.
And for the board, consideration, the way I would look at doing this would be the first interview could be whatever, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever amount of time we need. And it could be the three of us and Marky. And the reason I would want to exclude the current supervisor is what if one of these guys said, you know, one thing we do great here is this, but one of the things we do terrible around here is this. And I think that that might be difficult to have the current supervisor there. So I think that might be a good way to do it. And then if we feel that we get it down from 5 to 2 employees, and we want to bring the supervisor in for the second round, that I think that would be a wise way to proceed. Is the board okay with that?
I think so. I think that's a good idea.
That's a good idea.
I think we're okay with that.
Because I've never had a boss who did everything perfectly. And when I've been a boss, I've never done anything perfectly. And if somebody was going to replace them, I want them to be able to speak freely without fear of anything. So how about this? Maybe by the end of today, we'll talk with Marky. We'll look at our own schedules, and we'll look and see if next Wednesday or Thursday works best for everybody to start these interviews.
Sounds good.
You wanna do like 3 on Wednesday and 2 on Thursday, or you wanna try to do them all on Wednesday?
Let's do them all in one fell swoop.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'd like to check my calendar, and I'd prefer to do them all
All
at
at once,
one
okay.
time.
Okay, I didn't know.
And we'll see if Mr. Rhodes is available too. That'll be.
Okay.
So maybe we'll consider doing that. So just, yeah,
So you're gonna schedule interviews with just current?
with 5 internal candidates.
Where do you wanna have it at?
I'm comfortable here.
Let's do it here. We'll make them stand probably on the 10 supervisor. See if they can do it.
Pressure's on there, Nick.
And we'll see what kind of football preference they have, since that's been such a substantial part of it.
Everybody supports the Chiefs. That's all that matters.
Oh, no, you can't do
Yeah, we'll have a grading system. If it's the Colts, they get a certain number of points. Bengals,
I think there you lose.
Chargers.
Who's bringing dinner?
Albany County Highway vehicle will be blue.
Ouch. That hurt.
It's a good time to leave.
Brandon's right.
You tried to skip out earlier.
All license plates have to be, our license plates have to be approved.
Have to workshop problem.
Oh my goodness. Goodness.
Okay, so we'll try to connect today sometime and get the ball rolling on all that.
Okay.
So, anything from the public? See no comments there. And I don't think I have any other business other than we really didn't finish up to 11:58. That'll be on the next agenda. Unless anybody wants to stick around, I'm happy to close the meeting.
What's that? Was it?
All right, we'll close the meeting.
Good job.